Bobby, Fed Dead? You say no, I say yes. It's Fed Dead Redemption.
It is. What's up, pal?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to Raw, I guess. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, it's fun times.
It's a big night, Bob.
It is.
It's a big night. It's a big night to be an American nightmare, if you ask me, Bobby. We're going to get into that and much more. This is Fed Dead Redemption. If you don't know, this is the WWE program here on the Late Night Grin. This is the show in which Bobby gives his real opinion without fear of being buried, attacked, or critiqued. He will simply give his take from Raw through to SmackDown of last week's program and then look ahead to the week that is in front of us. Right, Bobby?
Yep, that's what we do.
For the last 2 hours, I'm watching Jon Moxley matches over on the Patreon platform. If you would like to see that, you can go latenightgrin.com and sign up for just $1. If you have a question that needs asking, Bob, it needs asking about the WWF, streamlabs.com/latenightgrin. You can send a tip alongside it, and Bob and I will, we'll like answer it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Try to answer it.
Do our best.
This was my attempt at like a big time intro. You know what, like the rest of the YouTube channels do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ones that start with like, sup guys, you know, those ones. I've got to go. It's a little bit tough, not gonna lie. My voice is already struggling. Anyway, Bob, how was last week's WWF television before we go piece for piece? How was it on a whole, Bobby?
I don't think it was bad. I think Raw and NXT were pretty good. SmackDown was kind of just there, but even that was like not as down as it has been. Yeah, overall, kind of they're trending upward, which is what you want on the road to WrestleMania. Hopefully they can keep it up, this week and next week going into the pay-per-view.
Factual. This start at the top here of Monday Night Raw, the opening, the tag match in which RK Bro reclaimed the tag titles in a match that went 27 minutes, Bob. It got 4.5 stars from David Meltzer. He has an 8.63 rating on Cage Match, a critically acclaimed Raw television match, or WWE television match. Thoughts on the match? It was about the decision, of the title would switch after, but the match itself, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it ruled. I know you don't always like these triple threat tag matches. I don't always love them either, but I thought they did a really good job here. Everything kind of felt like it had a purpose. Gable doing the moonsault into the RKO was a very cool spot, even though it wasn't the finish, which, probably maybe should have been, but I think it was good. It was maybe a couple minutes too long, but other than that, just a great way to start the show and a very solid TV match.
It's interesting. You look at the talent lineup here. It's no surprise it was good, right? Now,
yeah.
Thoughts on the decision to put the belts back on RK Bro, seemingly signaling the end of any thoughts that they would be wrestling each other. This seems like they're going to be staying as a tag for a little bit longer, right, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to push it to SummerSlam, because it kind of feels like, there is something to Orton and Riddle feud, right? At some point. That's kind of the point of this whole thing. But I guess, not just doing it at WrestleMania when you have gotten to this point is fine. It's something that should probably have some more build. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I was surprised, but I think Otis and Gable are going to factor into the match at Mania anyway, and I think Owens and Seth are doing their own thing. So, you could get away with doing RK Bro against Alpha Academy against the Street Profits in some sort of ladder match or something and be fine.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think what they do with this RK Bro thing. It seems like after all this waiting, when this happens, it's going to be a big deal in their minds, at least, right? I think they're going to have a title attached to it and something that kind of in that formal fashion. So it'll be interesting, but a big thumbs up for the opener of Raw last week, Bob. Fair to say.
Yes.
Okay. Bron Breakker made his Raw debut, Bobby. Thoughts on how he fared? There was obviously a very funny headline about him smiling, which was incredibly on brand. How did he do, Bob?
I think he looked great. He looked like a perfect fit on the roster. He could be there every week. The Smile More stuff, we kind of knew that they were going to say that, whether they're just testing him or they want him to actually, show range. I hope someone gets to them and be like, hey, this guy doesn't need to be doing all that. But, we know how they do things. And I think he's good enough that in spite of all that, he's going to be fine when he eventually gets called up. But I think this is a really good showcase for him.
Yeah, I saw pretty good reports. This whole program has done it. Look, whatever you think of the direction, and I think you and I are higher on Dolph than a lot of people, but it's been nothing but good TV matches by all accounts, Bob. Fair to say, this whole thing of Braun and the Dirty Dogs and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So the matches themselves appear to have been a hit, regardless of people's many takes on the actual direction itself. Okay, less positive reviews for Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley versus Carmella and Zelina with a 3.81 rating right now. Bob, thoughts on this whole thing? I'm not going to bring up the particular name. I've promised the patrons that I would not do that tonight in fear of upsetting you. 100 in red. But I will just say, I've sensed this could be an option. Thoughts on Rhea and Liv being a team here for WrestleMania?
I don't mind it because I think they are both in a position where they should be in something that's not the battle royal if they're doing a women's battle royal. Like,
Right.
they've been positioned kind of higher than that. Rhea especially, but Liv the past few months has been kind of in title feuds and stuff. So it would kind of feel like a step back. And like, I think they're a fine team. I don't think they're one that you're going to keep together for a long time. I think there's actually a feud to be had there between those two at some point. But for now, I think it's going to be fine.
We've all not even me doing a bit. Who is going to be in this battle royal that's been reported to be happening?
Yeah, that's the
Who's
thing. Because
left?
I mean, if you look at like who's left after all the tag stuff and the title stuff, like maybe there's not going to be a battle royal because there's only like 7 or 8 women left on the main roster at that point.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't really know. It feels like you could find something better for Rhea Ripley,
Oh yeah,
right? I kind of, and this is, Bob, I try not to give my take too often here because this is not my place, but it feels to me like having Rhea split from one team and going to another is it's kind of creatively bankrupt, Bob, as you once tweeted.
that's the thing, right? Like she could very easily, this looking ahead, she could win Money in the Bank, and I don't think anyone would care, and she'd be right back where she should be. But yeah, it's like, from last year at this time to right now, and even going back to like the Royal Rumble last year when we're like, oh, they see that Rhea and Bianca are like the Cena and Batista of this generation, and then they kind of just had Rhea sputtering around for 6 months, and I'm Bianca too, for that matter. But
I just wish it was Liv and Rhea versus Naomi and Sasha. If you're gonna do it right.
yeah,
God bless the champ. I'm not trying to knock them, but
no, but you could very easily just do a title switch on Raw or SmackDown to one of those other two teams and just have it be a 2-on-2 match, and it's probably much better.
Yeah. It just feels like we know what that match is going to look like at Mania, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah,
10 minutes.
now they're adding like Natalya and either Shotzi or Shayna too, so it's like,
Brother, what the fuck is going on with this Natalya thing? I'm not even trying to do like, me, I pull a lot of punches, but like, what is it a rib?
I don't know, man. Like, it feels like it kind of came out of nowhere that like, oh, she's going to be in the tag match, and she's got to be on the Mania card.
Feels like someone's lost the bet or something, Bob. You're a scoopster. Can you investigate this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
Who does a lot of the women's stuff, and
yeah, who may perhaps have a case against the WWF being incompetent. Yeah,
exactly.
How was Finn versus Austin Theory 12? I believe this is their 12th edition of this match. How was it, Bob?
I think they work well together. Like, we don't need to keep seeing it every week, obviously, and I don't really care for Theory, but like as far as just in-ring stuff, it was good, but that's also a lot of matches on this show. I think Finn against Priest is probably the direction for Mania. Finn's gonna be the demon, and it'll be a whole thing, which I think that's still pretty cool in a big stadium. Like, I don't know that it's cool, like in ring or whatever. He doesn't work any different, but I think it's still a cool entrance.
It's definitely, how do I put this? The audience that's going to WrestleMania would probably like to see the demon, right? Now, I mean, I don't really want to. I don't know if you really do either, but we're not really the point here. There's definitely going to be kids that pop for the demon being back. So God bless them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, last time we saw the demon, he had a very illustrious showing opposite Roman Reigns, which was definitely a thing that happened. I didn't imagine that, right, Bob?
Nope, that happened.
And, you get what you get. I suppose, okay, 2 big talking points from Raw, literal talking segments. Number 1, Edge embracing the law, spooky Edge finally coming to be. Bob, your thoughts on this? Because this, I have to say, inspired a top 5 wrestling Twitter tweet ever, in which Dave Meltzer used this as his evidence that, in fact, Edge is one of the great talkers and wrestling men in the world today. Bob, your thoughts on the new version of the man you call Adam Edge on Twitter, inexplicably?
Yeah, that was very spooky. I'm glad that he's not doing just look at my hands. Why am I so violent? I mean, he might end up doing that, but I don't know. Like, it was something a little bit different, I guess. Like, I still need to see another week of it because he didn't really say anything in his promo. That's the problem, which that's the problem he tends to run into sometimes. But
yeah, it's tough, right? Where are you at on this? Is this a match you're really looking forward to at Mania? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where would this be on your big board of like matches? If it got cancelled tomorrow, you'd be most bummed out about? Is it like it's got to be top 3, right?
Yeah, I think it is top 3. I think it's probably right at 3. Like, I'm excited. I am really excited for Brock and Roman still. I'm really excited for Bianca, and then I think Edge and AJ's right there.
It's like it's the kind of match fans have come to expect from WrestleMania, of like the non-title top guy battle, right? Like that's what its role is on this show, and it'll be intriguing how they. Like, how confident are you it'll be good, Bob? Here's a question. Here's a game we can play, okay? Will this match get higher than an 8 on Cage Match?
8's pretty... I think 8 is, like, the ceiling for it, probably.
Okay.
But I like those Edge and Rollins matches a lot, and I don't think AJ's, that much worse than Rollins is, so...
Yeah. That's a very polite way of putting it. That's like saying, I don't think Joe Embiid is much worse than Nikola Vucevic.
Well, AJ's older now, and all that stuff.
You were being polite. I appreciate it. So I respect it. All right, Kevin Owens closed out the show with his challenge to Stone Cold Steve Austin, which sparked a fascinating series of events. Steve Austin, via Twitter video, was announced his presence at WrestleMania was made official, and he cut an incredible promo. However, there was one slight concern that many kind of referenced offhand, which was, what's going on here? Why is this being seemingly presented as a match? What is good? It's very compelling what Austin's saying, but it doesn't really make any sense. What's happening, Bobby? What's going on here?
Yeah, because it's like, he's like, oh, I haven't been there in 19 years. And like, that makes it seem like it's a match because that was his last match 19 years ago. But like, he's been at WrestleMania since then plenty of times, like, doing in-ring stuff or whatever. So it's like, I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's going to just be like a KO show thing where he takes a stunner and, Austin drinks beer, which is fine. But yeah, it's weird that they're kind of treating it like it's not. And Austin's apparently like doing cardio and bulking up a little bit with his meal prep and everything, if you look at his Instagram. So it's like, I don't know what it is that they're doing here.
So, firstly, has Austin been on more Manias than he hasn't been on in the last 20 years? Genuine question. Since he retired, let's actually think about this, Bob. You're the best one to do this, so try and figure this out. So he was at WrestleMania 20, right?
20 he was not, I don't think.
He was in between your guys, Bill and Brock.
Oh, yes, he was. Okay, good call. And then 21...
You really did erase that from your brain, that one, huh?
21, he did Piper's Pit or Carlitos Cabana, whichever one. He did one of them. 22, he inducted Brett. 23, he did the Vince and Trump match. 24 when he went in the Hall of Fame, or 25? It's one of those two.
25 he went in the Hall, because that was Texas.
And then I don't know that he was at them for a while until 30.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because 30 is there, because 30 kind of leads it off. 31, he is not there, I don't believe. 32
he's
he
there.
Is.
Yeah.
33.
I don't think he's been at them since.
Yeah, I don't think he's been there since 32, which was the last one in Texas. So that makes sense.
See, he's been at like 6.
Yeah.
Pretty good. 27, he refereed Cole King. How'd you forget that match?
Oh, yes, he did.
So he's been at, thank you, Elliot, for writing the numbers, so I don't have to try and remember. He has been at 8 WrestleManias. It's pretty good, Bob. This is like a 50% ratio. Anyway,
That's why it's been weird, though.
That's why it's so weird. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Now, here's my thing. Because I've seen a lot of this, so I'll use Caleb's comment as an example. I think it's going to be a street fight, but not actually a street fight. Like, if they're going to do like a brawl, surely you just advertise it as a match and have him just pin him with a stunner.
Yeah.
That's the part that's really confusing to me. It's like, I agree, Caleb, that's what I think they're going to do, is like do some physicality. But in that case, just advertise it as a match. Like, I don't think if you advertise a match period and then necessarily expect Steve to do a 25-minute Bret Hart classic, like, I think you could show up in jeans for a real match, especially if you made it clear it was a street fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, am I doing something?
No, I'm fine. It feels like they're overthinking it, really.
It's all very strange. I don't know what's really going on. Are you excited to see him on the Kevin Owens show, though, Bob?
Yeah, it'll be cool. I still like Austin when he shows up, you know? Like, they actually, like, at the end of all of Owens stuff last week, they did the glass breaking, and I looked away from my screen, and I thought he was there, and he was not. It is kind of weird that he hasn't been there yet, though. Like, I don't think he's going to be there tonight. Next week, they're in Rosemont, so I imagine he'll show up for that. But we'll see, man.
It was weird that they just, like, announced it via the video. It was a really cool video, but it was kind of weird, right? Yeah. Like, you could have advertised that for TV. You know me, Bob. I like to see what happens here on the other programming. Before I get to that, though, how was Raw on a whole, Bob? You said you've been enjoying it more as of late.
Yeah, I think Raw's been good. You know, it's still 3 hours, so there's still going to be down parts, but I think overall they are kind of doing a good job, especially for not having a main men's title feud.
It's a good point. Now, main event, I assume you watched main event, Bob, right?
I did not this week.
Well, you missed out. Because alongside the Veer squash match, we actually got a Bob O'Neill classic as the Street Profits took on the Hurt Business in a match that went over 9 minutes, Bob. That may actually be worth your time.
Yeah, I might have to go watch that. That sounds very good.
What about the scene we saw at the 2K event that I tweeted at you, Bob?
Oh, yeah. It was Shelton, Liv, Alexa, and Xavier Woods. It's like 4 of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Xavier, but I don't want to call you problematic, so I'm just going to move on. NXT 2.0 Roadblock. NXT
I think it was.
I don't think it was. NXT 2.0 Roadblock. Move on, Bob. Just look forward. The big headline here was that Dolph Ziggler won the NXT title, which was almost certainly a rib. The match fucking ruled. The finish ruled. The reaction to the finish is one of the greatest things I've seen in years because people reacted to this like Steve Austin had won the world title in 1998. Pop me huge hair. Like, that crowd loves Dolph Ziggler.
They do.
I don't even know really why or what. It just pops me. All of it's funny. This started with a match. Dolph is bringing it, if nothing else, once the bell rings, Bobby, isn't he?
He is. He's not bad. Like, he's perfect for that role or for being in a tag team. Like, the problem they ran into with him is that they just kind of threw him out there every week for 15-minute matches, which the main roster fans, like, they don't really want to see from him. Like,
and he lost a lot too.
That too, yeah.
How do you feel about this decision? Very controversial decision, Bob. How do you feel about it? Dolph winning the title. Is it as simple as this is the obvious main event for Stand and Deliver, or what do you think is going on here?
Well, I told you before I'd put it on the Mania card, but I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, I guess. Like, you could have just done it with Braun being champion and had Dolph, you know, be the challenger at Stand and Deliver instead of just doing it this way where, I mean, Braun's probably just going to win it back. Like, it doesn't feel necessary, but the match was good, and I am kind of excited for the build because I have liked Dolph in NXT a lot. So we'll see, I guess. We'll let it play out, you know?
What do you say to the argument? Because I over at Wrestle Purist, my guy Backup Hangman posted the piece, and I was lucky enough to edit it. And he had this argument, and I thought it was pretty compelling, that this is the best way to book a guy like Bron Breakker as the top babyface. You give him constant hurdles to overcome, and when he becomes just the status quo and he's the champ, it is kind of it is a negative in his sense because people don't like that. They want to see him chasing. In the same way, the comparison that was made was Austin in 98, ironically, the way that they would always find a way to pull the rug out from under him so he could chase again, you know, and that kind of never-ending cycle. Do you think there's something to that of a Bron Breakker, the idea that he's best in this position? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's a point to be made there. Like, there's definitely money in the chase, especially for a babyface. That's just kind of how it's gone. I mean, you can book a strong babyface champion, but, like, I don't know, like him losing and then winning it back at Stand and Deliver. If they do a good job with the build the next 2 weeks, it's going to be fine. Like, when he didn't win the title at Halloween Havoc, I stopped watching the promotion for 3 months. So I'm not going to do that this time.
God bless you calling it a promotion. Like it's God bless, fair. What's Ciampa doing here, Bobby? Is this the end of Ciampa in NXT?
Probably, right? Like, what else is there for him to do?
I don't know. Is it a case of his choice though, or is it more a case of like move up or move out? What do you think?
It should probably be that second one, right? Like anyone who's been there for that long with how things are now shouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Is there any chance that Bron Breakker is actually called up, as Caleb mentioned? I saw a lot of people speaking on that. It's not a case of him winning the belt back. He's just actually been called up. What do you think?
I hope so. I don't think so. I think it's well, he could be, and it could still be the main event of Stand and Deliver, but like, they seem to be positioning Carmelo Hayes, who we talked about a lot, like to be the guy sooner rather than later. So it seems like Braun's going to be up, in the next few weeks.
Is he a babyface or heel, Carmelo Hayes, at this point?
I think he's a babyface.
So you could, in theory, move Braun up and have him beat Dolph, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the North American title, but like,
right.
It doesn't really matter.
The Stand and Deliver show, I think, has sold like 3,500 tickets, so it's not going to be like a calamity. I mean, you knew it was not going to do as well as they used to do, but
yeah, I think the original report was they're only setting up for like 5,000, which is fine.
I mean, it is what it is, right? It's a very different, it's a very different brand to the one that used to pack them in. It's a different time. Yeah, Dolph versus Volta would be cool, or Gunther. Sorry, Bob, Gunther. Where are we at on the Women's Dusty Classic? We had the semifinals this week. Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray advancing, as well as Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu. How is this tournament going, Bobby?
I think it's been fine. I liked both the matches this week a lot. The first round was a little touch and go just because it had some people who weren't the most experienced, but now that we're getting like deeper in where it's just kind of people that have been there before, people who are able to work a solid match, it's actually been pretty good.
What are the chances that Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray are called up as a team after WrestleMania?
I hadn't really considered that. I don't know that it's the best usage of either of them, but I think just to bring them up, like it would be fine for a little bit. Just don't fall into keeping them there for months on end,
So, out of interest, Bob, from one friend to another, are you saying that it's more or less likely that they would do it based on the fact they'd be taking two very talented singles wrestlers and putting them in a team just because?
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, they're probably going to do
it. How was Grayson Waller's last man standing match of LA Knight, which went 16 minutes, got pretty good reviews? How was it, Bobby?
I thought it was pretty good. Last man standing matches, I think 16 minutes is actually a really good amount of time for him because there's a lot of downtime, so they can feel a lot longer than they are. I liked it though. I hope that LA Knight is getting ready to go up, but I think they're gonna maybe have one more match at Stand and Deliver, which I don't like after last man standing match, but the way it ended kind of made it seem like they're gonna do a cage match or something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. LA Knight signed, I think, every week on this show. You and I kind of say, why is he not up? And it's strange. It's puzzling. Where are we at on Grayson Waller at this point? I got vilified, Bob, for saying that I think he might be good. Has the consensus swung? You're very online, Bob. What do people think of him at this point? And then what do you think?
Yeah, people didn't really seem to like him a couple months ago, but I think they're kind of coming around on him. I think he's fine. I don't think he's quite there yet, but I think, relative to the rest of the roster, he's probably further along than most of them.
There you go. So do you think, is he a guy you're leaving in NXT for at least another 6 months or so?
Yeah, I think he'd be North American champion after Carmelo Hayes, and then Carmelo Hayes wins the big title and go from there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Have you seen yet NXT Level Up, the television program that apparently airs at some point?
No, I always want to go back and watch it because, it's on when we're doing our show. And
we do a show?
We do. 4 hours every Friday.
Oh, fuck. Oh, well, at least Rampage isn't going to be even later this week, right?
Yeah, you guys have fun.
By the way, I've been owned. Listen to this, Bob. This will pop you. So, I said, it's actually okay because it's so late that I'm going to just treat it as the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The clocks have changed. Your time's changed, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm only 4 hours ahead of you. So now it's on at like 3:30. Why? Who is this for, man? It's insane. They need to think more of us British podcasters. You know, Bob?
It's true.
Famously popular group, Wrestling British Podcasters. Wrestling Podcasters, whatever. Okay. Let me move forward here. NXT UK, Bob, one of your favourite shows. Rod Strong is wrestling next week. Am I right?
Yes.
Did you watch Noam Dar versus Joe Coffey?
I did not. To be honest with you, I've never seen an NXT UK match that didn't have Walter in it, but I will probably watch Rod Strong next week.
Did you? I think he's wrestling a nonce.
Yeah.
Did you watch Charlie Dempsey versus A-Kid?
I did not. A-Kid's going to NXT, though. So
He is. Have you seen a lot of him? I guess you've seen the match with Walter, right?
yeah. He's pretty good. From what I've seen, everyone speaks highly of him.
He's very good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, NXT 2.0. How was it overall, Bobby?
It was good. It was a strong week. I think they're getting better. You know, we kind of talked about this kind of in general last week because I think it was their 6-month anniversary already or whatever. Like, they have gotten better. There's still a lot of stuff to improve on. If it's not for you, it's not for you. I understand that, but like, it's better than it was 6 months ago. So we'll see how it is in 6 more months.
Well, we sure will. It's Friday Night SmackDown with a booming 3.31 rating overall, which is quite impressive. A lot here, a lot to unpack. Okay. So we have a lot of fun here, but serious conversation. Before we get to the elephant in the room in terms of a certain debut, the Big E deal is brutal, right, Bob? Anything you want to? I mean, you know, I think we talked about it a little bit on the Grin, didn't we? I think we touched on it. Brutal situation, man.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, the response to it has been really cool to see. You know, everyone just from kind of every company reaching out to him. He doesn't need surgery, he said the other day in his video, so that seems like a good sign. I mean, again, I'm not going to speculate or diagnose how long he'll be out, but it feels like it won't be as long as we expected, so that's good.
Yep, all the best to everyone's favorite wrestler, Big E, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. He is the man, obviously. Now, in the same segment, a very different story as Pete Dunne debuted under the name Butch, which received the kind of response you'd expect to receive on a Friday night on social media. Bobby, where are you at on this topic at this point? Are you firmly in the does it really matter, who cares? Or are you full like, did you punch the wall and go crazy? What happened?
I mean, name changes, especially there, kind of are what they are at this point. Like, you can be upset about it, or you could be happy that Pete Dunne, who is small and has a very thick British accent, is actually finding a place in the main roster. You know, well, he's not big.
He's fair. Carry
on. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they brought him in how they did, I guess. Like, the name change, yeah, it is what it is. I think, like, for as much as you can do kayfabe in 2022, they did a good job explaining it. If you just ignore the fact that whole concept is dead and he's, you know, wrestled on pay-per-view before as Pete Dunne. But, like, I don't know. It's fine. Like, they could have just been like, that's what, you know, Sheamus and Ridge know him as. You know him as Pete Dunne, but, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Naomi and Sasha Banks defeated Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Why, if they're entering this match, did they get beaten in 3 minutes, or is she going to find another partner? What's happening, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to switch and go with Shotzi instead or what, because that was strange. I don't understand that one. And that was a match that kind of got changed quite a bit throughout the day, too, because it was going to just be Sasha and Zelina against each other in a singles match, I believe. And I don't know. Like, I guess the point is, like, Sasha and Naomi have momentum now, but I don't know.
Is there not heat between Sasha and Zelina, Bob? Isn't that a thing?
I don't believe so, but there might be.
Do some research on that, Bob. You know what's going on over there. Rick Boogs defeated Jey Uso in 2 minutes and 25 seconds, which is incredible in many ways. This is the tag title match, right, Bob?
It is.
Your thoughts?
I mean, I like Shinsuke. I like Rick Boogs. I like the Usos. It'll be a fine match. Like, you know what you're going to get out of it with those 4 guys in there. It's kind of boring, but they don't have a ton of tag teams, which I know that's their own problem, but like it'll be fine for what it is.
I guess it's cool to see Shinsuke in some kind of spot at WrestleMania, right? I guess is kind of the takeaway.
Yeah.
They run it back for the IC title. Ricochet and Sami Zayn did. Sami Zayn is doing an incredible job with this Johnny Knoxville situation. I mean, he's really using social media in an effective way that isn't like, I'm going to beat you up at Johnny Knoxville. Like, he's actually being creative with it and kind of making the most of the situation.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, thoughts on the extended Ricochet Sami Zayn match, Bob?
I thought it was good. It's cool to see when they let Ricochet just kind of go out there and do his thing, like what he can do. And, apparently he's the number 2 babyface on SmackDown now, so he's going to be out there doing that more often. I know the criticisms, he can't talk or whatever, but just let him go do this and let him win people over like this.
Heat check, Bob. Where are we at? Roman and Brock, how hot are we at this point heading into WrestleMania? We've got a couple of weeks left. Where do you think they're at with that one?
I think between the Garden stuff and what they did on SmackDown honestly, what they did on SmackDown didn't even register. Like that Garden stuff and then just keep showing it all week, I think was the big thing. Like chasing Paul Heyman away was fine. I thought Brock was going to come back and beat up the Usos at some point, but like I think they're doing a good job. It hurts it because Brock wasn't there last week and Roman wasn't there, this week. So that can get a little tough, but like overall I'm enjoying it, but I was going to enjoy it either way. But like, again, I think it's going to be closer to both build and match. It'll be closer to WrestleMania 31, 34. And so far it kind of has been. So
any kind of further read on the finish this one, Bob? Which way are you leaning on this one?
It feels like Roman has to win. I know we said that each of the 2 other times they've done it, but like this one in particular feels like Roman has to win.
Give me a percentage on how confident you are he will win that, Bob?
Probably about 75 right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty cocksure. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Same thing. Heat check. Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. Where are we at this point, Bobby?
That one's a little tougher because that one kind of feels about 50-50 right now. Like it feels like Ronda should win, I guess, just because she just came back and I don't know what you do with her if she doesn't have the title. But you never know with Charlotte, man.
How do you think the build is coming here?
The build, yeah. I mean, the promo wasn't very good, but I think the brawl to end the show was strong. Kind of going back to what they did a couple years ago, where they had that brawl to end Raw. That was strong. Do more of that. Kind of do less of them talking. I don't think anyone would say that promos is either of their strong spots. So just you got to put them in the position to succeed and kind of focus on their positives.
It feels like the kind of feud that you should do like video package stuff for, like really kind of like sports montages of people training.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bob, I had to switch my thing out. Imagine that I went off and you was left on your own again. 2 straight fed deads. It felt like a bit. Did that just really happen? Did I just immediately freeze as I said that? That was incredible timing. Holy shit, man. That was terrifying. Yeah, if we should do kind of the sports style, like video montages, but they're going to do in-ring promo segments, probably for better or worse.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're not sure on the result. I feel like Ronda has to win, Bob.
Yeah, you would think, but again, with Charlotte, you just never know. Like they see her in such a way that,
Fair. All right, Bob, this is one of my favorite bits we haven't done in some time on Fed Dead that I'm going to resurrect. It is house show. Okay, ready?
Yes.
I'm going to list the match card from a house show this past weekend. This is a Raw house show, which, as you mentioned, does not have a world title. I will go one match. I'll go match by match. And with each match, give me a rating out of 10 as to how happy you'd be if you paid money, you bought a ticket, and this is what you got. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Opening match. Bron Breakker and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Dirty Dogs.
Was that a 10? I'd be probably an 8 for that.
Yeah, me too. Austin Theory versus Dominic Mysterio.
1.
Omos versus R-Truth.
Probably about a 6, honestly.
Fair, I respect it. The Street Profits versus Alpha Academy.
7.
Rey Mysterio versus The Miz.
7.
Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, Carmella, Doudrop, and Queen Zelina of handicap match, Bob. A handicap match, my God.
Probably only about a 4 for that one.
You know, I have to say, I told you I wasn't going to do this. How fascinating is it that, like, they didn't just book the obvious babyface and the 8-woman tag?
Well, you would think, but it's not how they're doing things, I guess.
Main event feels a little light for a main event, Bobby. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins. It's not a bad match, but I don't know, man. Is that a good main event? What do you think?
I'm sure it'd be fun. Like, probably if you're there, probably like a 6 or 7. But I was gonna go because Raw's doing a house show in Springfield this weekend where Jeff Jarrett has a baseball team. It's only like an hour from me. I was gonna go, and the main event is Priest against Finn, which like that's fine, but I'm not gonna drive an hour each way to go to that.
No, that's very fair. Okay. We will now go to a SmackDown house show to compare. All right, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather the house show on the 12th or the 13th, Bobby?
We do the 12th.
Damn it. All right.
Actually, we should do the 13th because they were in Pensacola and Roman was a big babyface there.
Factual. Okay, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Rick Boogs versus Ridge Holland.
Probably about 5. I mean, I like them both. I don't know that either of them should be facing each other right now.
Aaliyah, Shayna Baszler. Which Aaliyah won by DQ, Bob, by the way. Your rating for that one, Bobby?
Probably about a 3.
This transitioned into Aaliyah, Naomi, and Sasha Banks versus Natalya, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville.
5.
Ricochet, Sami Zayn.
7.
The Viking Raiders defeated Los Lotharios, which is apparently Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo.
Yes. Probably about a 5 there, too.
Happy Corbin defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, what he did.
Yeah, I mean, probably like 6 for the match, 3 for the result.
Drew and the New Day over the Bloodline, which is obviously a good main event. Right,
That's a good main event, yeah.
Full 10 for that one?
Yeah, I'd probably go 10 on that one.
The other one was the reason that one actually got the big time singles match. That got Roman and Drew 1-on-1. It got a finish for Shayna Baszler versus Aaliyah too. Is it fair to say that the house shows are interesting because they confirm the obvious, which is that Raw has a better undercard but no main event stars, while SmackDown only has main event stars? Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
It's a fascinating time. Okay, we look ahead here. Let's start with tonight, Monday Night Raw, which is only an hour and change away.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the elephant in the room, the obvious question. Is it time, Bobby? Is it Code Man time?
You know, it feels like if he doesn't come in tonight, you know, in Jacksonville, set something up with Seth Rollins that doesn't need a ton of build, you know, it's probably not going to happen. Because, look, next week they're in Rosemont, so I'm sure they'll have, you know, Brock and Roman or they'll have Austin show up, just whatever to overshadow Cody. And then the week after is the Mania Go Home. They're in, you know, wherever. But that's kind of a big deal. You can't just, you know, throw that out there and have Cody come in that week. So it's either tonight or I guess the Raw after Mania, but like I don't get bringing him in this close to Mania and not having him on the card.
Is it fair to say that the biggest clue Cody is coming in tonight or whenever before WrestleMania, is it fair to say that the biggest clue is that Seth has nothing else he could do at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
That feels like the most obvious tip, right, Bob? Like, what is the next most likely thing for Seth if it isn't Cody? Seriously.
Yeah, he's just going to like be out there for the KO show and
right.
Yeah.
That was Raw if he just stood there and got stunned. That's more like it. Anyway, so yeah, that feels like the most obvious thing. What does this look like, Bob? Can you paint the picture for me as best you can? Like, is it we're going to get like the wrestling has more than one royal family? Is Snoop Dogg going to be there? Is he going to wear like a white? So what's this? Paint the picture, Bob.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have his AEW theme, which is a bummer. They should have just bought it. It's very good. I don't think they're going to use smoke and mirrors either. Probably have a brand new theme for him, which will probably not be very good.
It is worth noting, Bob, that Cody, I believe, is the guy that has the license to use the downstate thing.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe then. Yeah, I think he'll come in, with his white suit. They'll give him a mic, let him say whatever he wants for a few minutes, and Seth will come out and, be like, "What are you doing here? It's different now." Things have changed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's kind of get the build going because Cody's going to be big babyface when he comes in, especially in Jacksonville.
Factual. What do you think about this? They ran the freeway on the house show, the US title one. That could be Seth's backup plan. What do you think the likelihood is of that, Bob?
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's kind of underwhelming.
Well,
he could also just not be on the card. I mean, they do that plenty with popular women, so why not do it with the men?
Were you referencing anyone in particular there, Bob? I'll just move on if not.
Both Bailey and Alexa.
Yeah. At least in Alexa's case, they didn't stop by her hometown and just have her watch Dana Brooke do TV segments from catering. That would have been pretty brutal, right? They wouldn't do that. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. We're getting Cody tonight. I'm pretty certain of it. I was actually going to do the grin along that I just did during Raw, but I was like, I think it's going to be Cody. I want people to watch that and enjoy it if they want to at least. Bob, is the excitement down on this? Am I imagining it was like they've lost? There was a window to make this a bigger deal. Is it still a big deal, but it ain't quite what it could have been?
Yeah, because I mean, when it first came out, he was on Dynamite like 3 days before, so it's like now he's not been there for a month. They've had a pay-per-view, they've had all kinds of stuff going on. WWE's had a pay-per-view. Like the world just kept spinning.
Yeah, my take on it on the stream we just did was like, whether they admit it or not, there was definitely some Fleet loyalists that were kind of shitting themselves. There was definitely some panic in the camp online, which doesn't matter in the big picture, but it is still what's had to be said. And it feels like so much has happened since. Like what could they possibly be worried about? They've had such good shows since.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, they had a good pay-per-view. They brought Regal in. They got Keith Lee now. They have, Swerve now. Like they've
Jeff Hardy, every fucking free agent imaginable.
Exactly. So they're not going to miss Cody as much. And is it still a big deal if he comes in? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of maybe not even in viewership terms, but just in terms of what it'll mean going forward, just to be the first guy to jump from AEW, just kind of be the guy that he was, and it's going to be fascinating to watch kind of how they treat him and what they do with him, because it's going to kind of be the standard going forward when you're trying to get people to jump.
I think in some ways it's more interesting now that a month's gone. Yes, you're right, but I think it's just more interesting in the completely on the surface level of it's a top guy they can add to their roster, right? Which we just read through. They need more of those. I think the element of promotional warfare the shine has come up for the reasons we just laid out, but it's a big signing because it's a top guy and they need top guys. I do wonder though, Bob, is this potentially a case of two different audiences? Is there a chance the actual audience that still watches and attends WWE will not care about Cody Rhodes? Or will they be fired up to hear about the adrenaline in his soul?
No, there's absolutely a chance of that, because I don't know how closely you've watched, since the pandemic's been, not over, but since they've had fans back, it's not the CM Punk chance anymore. It's not, doing the wave. It's people who actually, are there to see the show,
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. I still think he's a big deal either way, and I think he's going to be positioned as a big deal. But, the moment's kind of getting away from him.
Do you think it is as simple as what many of us speculated on, which is that fan has just stopped going to WWE shows because of AEW being around? Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that's been a positive or negative show? Because as much as it's good to not have shows hijacked, they're a lot quieter now,
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Because you don't want them just chanting whatever, but you also don't want them just sitting there, not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's kind of a balancing act, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. This was a good example. I'm glad this was brought up because I'd forgotten it. That was a great example. And the same thing happened. Remember when Edge referenced Punk's promo about Miz?
Mm-hmm.
And they just sat there with no awareness as to what he was talking about? It'll be really interesting if he comes out and they just don't react at all. Like in Jacksonville, surely they're gonna react in Jacksonville.
Well,
right?
that's the thing, right? Like they got Jacksonville tonight. They have Rosemont next week. Like that's still a certain type of fan that goes to shows there. And then I think they're in like Philadelphia or something the week after. It's definitely like a pro, WWF kind of smart fan crowd. So like they'll probably be fine. And then you have time to position him, get him a win over Rollins at Mania and be like, hey, he's a big deal.
How do we handle the hilarity of him beating Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? Like, do we go full in on that, or do we just like let them suffer? What do you think?
It's kind of weird because on the flip side, like if Raw is going to have a champion, which I think they are just going to end up bringing a belt back, like it probably should just be Seth. I know, we don't love it, but he's clearly like able to be a top guy. He hasn't had the belt in a couple of years. Like that's probably what they should do. So to have him lose and then immediately go to that would be strange.
Have you considered it as funny, or is that part missed out when you was analyzing this, Bob? What do you think?
Oh, it'd be very funny.
Codeman pinning him with a pedigree could be one of the greatest moments in wrestling history.
Yes.
Do you remember when he was doing the Tiger Driver and we were like, he must have an idea of when he's going to do the pedigree. He's going to save it for a special. And then he just left.
Yeah.
We did a Cody Rhodes roundtable once, myself and Jeremy Lambert, and we spent an hour talking about the different possibilities with Cody's new character.
That rules.
Sure, it's fine. Anyway, advertise for tonight's show. RK Bro is going to throw a championship celebration. Bob, what are the chances this is entertaining?
I think Randy is pretty entertaining, especially in something like this. Like, it's weird though, because this seems like the sort of thing you do when they're gonna, break up and not, one's gonna turn on the other, and it would be really weird to do that here. So I'm interested in seeing what they do here. If they get Otis and Gable involved, which then it'll be very entertaining. Those guys are great.
Mm-hmm. Gable has really shown his versatility as of late, it seems, Bob. Fair to say?
Yes.
What are we expecting from this Kevin Owens segment? It says that he will respond to Stone Cold Steve Austin accepting his invitation. What do we think here, Bob? We're gonna get the dim light, the spotlight on Kevin sitting in a steel folding chair, or is he just gonna stand in the middle of the ring and talk? What do you think, Bob?
I think he'll stand and talk. He's probably gonna invite him to Raw next week, and Austin will be there next week and see what they do there.
Do you think there is any chance that next week's segment, which I guess is a better conversation next week, but even still, if he does invite him to Raw, which I think is a good guess, is there any chance that it gets turned into a match? Or are they just going to live in this weird middle ground for the next 3 weeks? What do you think?
I think there's a fair chance of that happening, yeah. I mean, because that's the sort of thing that if Austin's there and Owens, egging him on or whatever, just be like, yeah, whatever, let's have a match instead. Mm-hmm. And that's really all the build you need for it.
It's Steve Austin wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Obviously it isn't quite the fairy tale return you've drawn up in your mind, but the way they're doing it now is so strange. I just can't wrap my head around it. His delivery in the promo was incredible, and the stuff we talked about it just feels weird. Bobby, you just grinned wide there. What has happened? You appeared to be alarmed by something, Bob. What's happened?
No, I was just reading more about what they're doing on Raw and such this week.
Okay. I was concerned for you there.
No.
So they have no matches announced for tonight?
No, so that's what I was trying to figure out too. And
yeah, just 2 segments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. NXT, Cameron Grimes, Santos Escobar, 2 guys that need to move on up, Bob, it feels like, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, what is the North American title ladder match? Is that like a multi-man? What we got here?
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being one, kind of like it was in New Orleans a few years ago. I don't know who they're going to put in it, but it feels like that's kind of the move of what they want to do there. A-Kid makes his NXT 2.0 debut against Kushida.
Obviously, we know Kushida's here to take the fall. Is this a case of the end is nigh for Kushida in WWE, Bob? What's going on with Kushida in WWE? It's really been a weird run.
Yeah, I don't know, because they didn't really use him for a while. He was hurt or whatever. Then they really started kind of figuring it out and using him for a while. And then they did this switch, and he doesn't really seem to have a fit there. They're trying all these different things with him. I don't know. If he's happy there, good for him. If he doesn't want to be there, just let him go,
Yeah, it's weird. The match itself will probably be great.
Mhm.
It's just it feels like there's nothing for him, unfortunately. Saray will take on Tiffany Stratton. Is Tiffany Stratton the one that always talks to her father on the phone?
Mhm.
Is she any good, Bob? What's the scam report on Tiffany?
The character is not bad. I don't know how good she's going to be in the ring, but
Right.
I like Saray. I'm glad she's getting kind of a featured feud here.
Yeah.
I think she's very good, and this match should be a really good indication of where Tiffany Stratton's at.
Okay. Is there anything announced for SmackDown, Bobby?
Don't
Don't
believe
think so.
so. Yeah, I don't think that. I assume Roman's going to be back this week, and probably Brock, and they'll be in the same building, so that could be
There
something
you go.
fun.
So overall, where's the optimism at, Bob? This feels like tonight could be a big one. Are you excited, or are you more planning and plotting many Twitter bits? I'm intrigued, Bob, by your handling of a night like tonight.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I would like to see Cody show up. I still like him. I never really had like a strong opinion on him in AEW once I just kind of figured he was doing a bit and just kind of treated it like that the whole time. So he's not that polarizing to me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Raw's been better. I think NXT has a couple things to look forward to, and yeah, we'll see what they do on SmackDown. But overall, I think they are still kind of trending upward. Some of those Mania matches are just going to be rough. It's just the state of the men's mid card in particular. But like,
Yeah.
if you can focus on the 3 or 4 that should be good, then that'll be good. If you can't, I get it. I mean, it's not a top to bottom stacked WrestleMania. It's not WrestleMania 30, but
What do you think? Do you think this is a case of the two-night WrestleMania format kind of exposing more so than usual the frailties a little bit? Is that also what's happening here? Maybe.
yeah, it's weird because we talked about them needing it for a long time, and then
Yeah.
really what they need to do is just commit to doing 4.5 hours one night. If you don't make the card, sorry, maybe next year. But I think we're too far gone from that.
There was definitely a point where the roster was too big for one night,
Mhm.
but it feels like they've remedied that by cutting 100 plus, right?
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation. I'm intrigued how the two-night format works this year. I thought last year there was an element that it was hard to maintain that kind of special feel in the air, right? Like
Mhm.
night two, it's like you've seen it all. It's difficult. But it will be interesting. So you're not too down on it, and you're looking okay with Derby right now.
Yeah.
Fair to say, right?
For now, yeah.
Is tonight a victory lap for you if Codeman comes out, Bob, or is it just another day at the office?
Yeah, it's just kind of another day. Like he's a guy that I always figured would come back. There's actually a fair amount of guys that were in WWE that are in AEW now that I think will come back someday. So it's not going to be like this big surprise when they come back. Like everyone except for Punk. Punk would be a genuine surprise. Everyone else, I could be like, yeah, I see that.
How long do you? So Jack Crosby has always said to me, he has been consistent that Moxley will be back, but only when it's like Hall of Fame time. Do you agree, or do you think he'll be back a lot sooner than that?
No, that sounds right. Like, because they did the Shield final send off and all that, so it's not like he has to come back for that. And he's clearly so happy, like working how he
Yeah.
gets to work there and going other places, and like there's not really a reason for him to come back, I don't think. Like, do the Shield one more time, maybe, but like you can also just have a one-off thing when they're all going into the Hall of Fame, just have him work Mania or whatever as a 6-man against,
Yeah.
Mysterio and Austin Theory.
It maybe not to the degree of Pump, but I would say him going back would surprise me personally. Like in the next, again, in the scenario
Yeah.
you laid out, maybe not, but we'll see. Will we see a sorry to see Cody Rhodes tweet tonight?
Not from me, probably from, other people that I follow,
Yeah.
but like I don't
Every
know.
single one of your mutuals.
Oh man, it was a rough day, man. Because Damian Priest was like, you can only be a WWE superstar one place, and Dax was like, well, I want to be a professional wrestler, and everyone got mad at Dax, and I was very upset.
All of the mutuals again, just kicking the shit out of one of your favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. And what did he tweet? What did he say? I want to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah, because Priest was like, you could be a wrestler anywhere, but you can only be a WWE superstar one place, which that is correct, like on the most literal level. And Dax is just like, well, I want to be a professional wrestler, and everyone's just like, well, you're a fucking nerd.
Wow.
So
could you imagine how much it would roll with like guys that didn't work for WWE just called themselves WWE superstars, like in real life? That would fucking rule.
It'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. People don't like Dax on Twitter, but you and I do, Bob, and that's all that matters. Great question here. Very straightforward. Bob, is the Fed dead? If nobody cares about Cody, the Fed is dead? Question mark.
No to that first one, but maybe to the second one.
This is incredible comment. Very upset. What a sad thought. I can't bear the thought of Bob being sad. This is what I experienced last week with, again, I'm not going to name the name, but there was a matter in the WWF that upset Bob, and I was just replying over and over again with the quote of course, this very clip, which I'll play again here, folks that somehow don't get it yet. Bob would say, I can't believe this is happening. I would say,
facts, all caps with 3 exclamation points, and then 100 in red, as in keep it 100.
I just simply would say 100 in red. And Bob, I realized about there was one point, Bob, where we'd finish the conversation. You just messaged me, I have been owned. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, same thing, same topic, still mad. You get frustrated sometimes, Bobby, right?
Yeah, I do.
Not always the cool, calm customer that we see here on this very podcast. Anyway, Bobby, do some promotions and all that good stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at RobertO'Neill31. You can sign up for the Late Night Grin at latenightgrin.com for $1 a month. Joe did a Mox watch along earlier today. We're doing an AEW Dark watch along tomorrow night. I think, Joe, you're doing a show on this channel tomorrow. You generally do. I will be on, I believe, the Dynamite review show this week, possibly.
Yep.
And not the Late Night Grin, because it's very late and I have to watch basketball anyway. So Wednesday will be the last time you see me this week.
Honestly, this isn't true, Leland, because the group chat doesn't really communicate, does it? It just sort of...
No, it's kind of just a StreamYard, and then there'll be a couple messages a day, and that's about it.
Like, I messaged, hey guys, is everyone available for this date? And Bob was like, sure. And Oracle was like, yeah, and that was it. That was the end of it, really. I'm sure it's fine. A lot of allegations in the chat here, Bob, that someone shouldn't follow you on Twitter. Your thoughts?
I'm sorry to hear that.
You know my thoughts, Bob? What's that?
Facts, all caps with 3 exclamation points, and then 100 in red, as in keep it 100.
Fucking incredible. Tomorrow, I'm actually behind the paywall tomorrow. Tuesday is a paywall exclusive day. DW Tuesday at 6:05 Brit time, which now would be 2:05 Eastern time for my American pals because time change, clock, all that stuff. So an hour later for my American pals, Brits, 6:05, same as usual. And then I may be on the dark watch long, I don't know yet. Wednesday, Dynamite preview, Dynamite review. Thursday, I think we're going to do something different. You may even see the Diva deep dive that has been much speculated upon. You may even see Jay Shell watching some WCW. We're going to figure out something for Thursday. I believe the Historical Oracle is off this week. We'll be back next week. So something different on Thursday. Confirmed Shoot has informed me that Tony Schiavone has arrived at the announce desk on Elevation, saving him from another show exclusively featuring Paul White and Mark Henry on commentary, which they did last week, apparently. So congratulations to him. You can follow him at Confirmed Shoot. You can follow us at Late Night Grin, at Late Night Grin. Bobby, you see he's at. You see mine at Joe Holbert. And everyone enjoy Code Man. The American Nightmare is back. Wrestling has more than one royal family, and Seth frickin' Rollins is fucked. Good night and God bless, folks. Enjoy the outro. Here we go. Keep waving, Bob. I got to play out here. Bye.